if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft. BJ told me I should fight back. They don't like that. Just know if you rock the boat, you better have a life raft. Woo.
What up, everybody in the YTBC? Hope everybody's doing well today. Before I start getting into a couple different topics, just want to say rest in peace, Stan Lee. You know, you were a true artist. You always had the same affinity for your fans as they had for you, and that's to be commended. So, sorry to hear of his passing, but he did live a full life. I mean, 95 years old. A lot of people won't live half that. So, you know, he definitely lived a full life and a very abundant life. You know, I do know that, you know, the last couple of years have been kind of rough for him. Just because, you know, old age and people trying to take advantage of him in his old age. But, you know, it is what it is. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. Let me go ahead and get into topics. Some topics here. Real quick. It's been very difficult for me to make time to make videos. That's why it's been like one video a week. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of put those intros on the back burner just for a little bit, because if not, there's just not going to be no content, you know. And sometimes it may be some condensed versions, you know, like this one is going to be a couple different topics. I'm going to try to hit them as quickly as I can. So real quick, just want to review the Usyk versus Bellew fight. I thought it was a good fight. I feel like, you know, it gave, you know, it's fights like that really make me feel like I'm getting my money's worth. The card as a whole really wasn't that great in my opinion. It is a UK card. Like I said, you know, I am glad that they do these cards. It's just, the undercards to me are lackluster. But then again, that's because I'm an American, and, you know, we only get up until the zone, you know, it's very hard to get exposed to, you know, fighters in other countries. So, like, of course I know who Tony Bellew is, and of course I know who Alexander Usyk is, but a lot of these fights that I saw on the undercard, I've never heard of these people. And, you know, that just, it's kind of hard to be interested in those fights. However, it also is good because you get that exposure. And eventually, I think it'll come to the point where I'm enjoying those undercards as well. Those UK undercards, to a certain extent, because even the US undercards tend to be kind of lackluster with a great main event, which I'm fine with. You know, do what you got to do. I'm paying $10 a month, and I'm getting, you know, even if the undercards are complete shit, but it's great main events, I'm perfectly fine with that. Especially if you're going to keep these fighters active, whereas PBC will put together a little bit better of an overall card, but these guys are hardly ever fighting. So, you know, you have to find that balance in quantity and quality. It is a business. You can't expect for every single fight on the undercard to be spectacular, you know, but it's also good because, like I said, you get that exposure. You find out about these fighters that you never knew existed. First couple fights of the undercard, you know, the guys had like 7 to 13 fights. You know, they're in their early stages of their career, and these are guys who could potentially be somebody in the future. But anyways, back to the fight. You know, I think Usyk, you know, he came up against adversity. He was having a difficult time trying to figure out Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew was doing everything he could to get into Alexander Usyk's head, which didn't seem to be working because Usyk is just a very mentally durable guy. I don't think it's going to be easy for anybody to get inside of his head. especially while, he's in his prime. His mind is very sharp, and he has a high ring IQ, so he didn't let his emotions get the best of him. He kind of waited out the storm, and then when he saw an opening, he took it and was able to take out Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew acted like a class act, had zero excuses, had nothing but nice things to say about Usyk after the fight. And I foresee this happening with a lot of Usyk's opponents. Being that Usyk is not a big talker, if you've seen his interview, they asked him about Fury versus Wilder. He said he doesn't like either of them because they talk too much. He hopes that they knock each other out. Being that he has that attitude that it's, no talk, just all action, I think a lot of his opponents are going to be like that, where after he beats them, there's not going to be a whole lot that they could say negative about him because he didn't talk about their mother. He didn't talk about their wife. He didn't tell them that, he wants to paralyze them and have their kids look into their children's eyes as he does it. He doesn't say crazy shit like that. He goes, he trains, he gets in the ring, and he gets the job done. And I think that's the way that boxers need to handle their business. It's always exciting to have a good build-up, but at the end of the day, if you're like Adrian Broner and you're talking all this bullshit, and then at the end of the day you're getting your ass whooped, or at best getting a draw, it's not a good look. All that talk does nothing for you in the ring. So it was a good fight. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Let me go ahead and get on to the next topic. Next topic is like a week or two ago, I saw a video that Bruce Vain did where he was saying that he's not going to be supporting Clarissa Shields because of her feminist rant, or it really wasn't a rant. I don't know how you would classify it, but basically there was a press conference that was done. Eddie Hearn let Clarissa Shields get on the stage for a little bit. She kind of stood on her soapbox, doing the whole feminist thing, talking about that she's expecting to make the same money that the male boxers are making, and she kind of put Eddie Hearn on the spot when she did that. She kind of put him in the hot seat, and I completely understand why Bruce Vain is saying that he is no longer going to support Clarissa Shields, because that was kind of a shitty thing to do. First off, alright, in the workplace, of course, women should get paid the same as men, okay? When you have, if you're working at McDonald's and you are a female, you should be making the same amount of money to flip burgers as the dudes. It's an unskilled job. That's the way that it is. However, when it comes time to get raises, that should be done upon merit. So really, that wage equivalent only matters at the beginning. If you start at $8 an hour, everybody else should be starting at $8 an hour, unless of course they have some experience. Same base level experience, same base level pay. That's the way that I feel about it. As time goes on and you're getting raises, that will change. And if you're excelling where he isn't, you should be making more than him, and vice versa. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this whole thing that Clarissa Shields is talking about. When it comes to boxing or any sport or any form of entertainment, it doesn't work the same. The way that it works is the money that you can generate. When you're working at McDonald's, again with the same example, McDonald's is generating the revenue. You're taking part in it, but ultimately it's their formula, it's their business, it's the way that they do things that makes them the money. You could get fired or quit, and the next day they have somebody completely different, and they're going to make the same amount of money. Boxing is different. And what Clarissa Shields needs to understand is Eddie Hearn doesn't have any control over the amount of revenue that she generates. That is going to be dependent on the market. And what Eddie Hearn's job is to do is to promote her, if he is in fact her promoter. I don't really know. I'll be honest, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to women's boxing. And if you do, that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with women's boxing. I've had people tell me in my own comment section that they don't think women should box and all this stuff, and that, hey, that's their prerogative. I don't have a problem with women boxing. It's in the same vein as soccer. I don't watch soccer, whether it's men or women, but I don't knock those who do watch soccer. When it comes to women's boxing, for whatever reason, I just can't get into it. And I mean, I actually have watched a couple fights. It's not like I haven't given it a try. It's just, it doesn't really keep my attention, really, for whatever reason, you know. And the rules are different. The rounds are 2 minutes, and I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's not for me. All right. And if the majority of boxing fans, who are minority in the first place, but if a majority of them have the same sentiment, and keep in mind I'm saying if, then it's going to be very hard for you to generate the same kind of revenue that even, you know, Big Baby Miller, who's not a huge draw. His name, as time goes by, is getting more and more recognition, but at this point in time, he's not considered a huge superstar here in the United States. That's just the way it is. Guess what? Jarrell Miller is a male who is not making anywhere near as much as Anthony Joshua. I mean, Clarissa Shields, even in your own fights, there's an A side and a B side, and in most cases, you are going to make more than your opponents. This isn't a gender equality thing. This is a, what does the public value you at? Okay, now, you may want to accuse the public of not giving equal rights to women, but at the end of the day, people can't help what they're interested in. You know, they can't, when they go to the movies, people are not putting them on a guilt trip because they prefer comedies over romance movies. It's supply and demand. And if nobody is demanding you right now, you're not going to be supplying a whole lot. In turn, you're not going to be making a whole lot. And as time goes by, women's boxing is doing better. So, I mean, you have to take what you can get. It's not a sexist thing. It's a capitalist thing, really. So yeah, Clarissa Shields needs to understand she's not making the money that she desires to make. It has nothing to do with what Eddie Hearn is doing. Like I said, if Eddie Hearn is her promoter, then yeah, he needs to be promoting her. He needs to be doing what he can to help her generate as much money as she can. That's what a promoter is there to do. And he should be doing it equally as he would his other fighters. I mean, yeah, it would make sense for him to put more time into, let's say, Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua is making him a whole lot of money. But my logic on that is, well, Anthony Joshua is already making a whole lot of money. How about you start bringing up some of these other fighters? It's not just women. It's anybody else that he's promoting. I mean, yeah, it's great to have an Anthony Joshua, but what if you have, you know, other fighters that are generating probably not as much as Anthony Joshua, but getting up there? You're going to make more money. But anyways, that's not a slight towards Eddie Hearn. That's just me saying, hey, you know, she has one little point, but she completely blew it out of context. And, yeah, Clarissa Shields, just understand it's not up to the promoters how much you make, really. It's up to the public. Now, to my final topic. Recently, Luis Ortiz said that Anthony Joshua doesn't like to take dangerous fights. And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So, I do like Luis Ortiz. When Deontay Wilder called off the fight the first time, I was kind of upset, but at the same time, you know, it was what it was. It was a fight that I wanted to see. And eventually the fight did come to fruition, you know. It didn't come as early as it was supposed to initially, but hey, the fight ended up happening. And Luis Ortiz, you know, he did a good job. In my opinion, he was winning that fight, and had it gone to the scorecards, I would have given it to him. But Deontay Wilder was able to knock him out. Now, back to what Luis Ortiz said, though. I have a big problem with that because at the end of the day, Luis Ortiz has only taken on one dangerous fight of his own. I mean, really, who is the most dangerous fight that he's taken aside from Deontay Wilder? And it's not like Deontay Wilder was the challenger. You know, he was the one who had everything to gain in that fight. Luis Ortiz, that is. So, aside from what I'm assuming was his biggest payday, which was against Deontay Wilder, and that being his most dangerous opponent, what dangerous opponents has Luis Ortiz fought? The most dangerous opponent that he's fought was Bryant Jennings. Bryant Jennings, who was coming off a loss from Vladimir Klitschko. Because let's be honest, his last fight, you know, the Quijano or whatever his name was, that wasn't a dangerous fight. Malik Scott, that sure as hell wasn't a dangerous fight. Malik Scott ran the whole fight, literally. You know, a lot of people like to say that Floyd Mayweather's a runner, but I'm sorry, Malik Scott got him beat in that Luis Ortiz fight. David Allen, he's a dangerous fight. Like, come on now. You can't criticize another fighter when they have fought more dangerous, about the dangers of their opponents, when their opponents are a lot more dangerous than your own. Alexander Povetkin is definitely more dangerous than David Allen or Malik Scott or Quijano. Parker, definitely more dangerous than any of those fighters. Even Takam is more dangerous than all three of those fighters. And that's like one of the least of his most recent opponents. Because, I mean, we're not going to count the nobodies that he had to fight in the beginning, the journeyman. But the more recent fights where he was fighting, champions and contenders, every last one of those fights were more dangerous than, with the exception of Deontay Wilder, which, like I said, Luis Ortiz was the challenger. He was the one with everything to gain in that fight. With the exception of Deontay Wilder, all of those opponents are all of his most recent opponents are more dangerous than anybody that Luis Ortiz has fought, period. Vladimir Klitschko. Like, come on now, Luis Ortiz, let's be real. I like you, and I think you have a lot of skill. And yeah, you've been avoided, but that still doesn't change the fact that you're not fighting the most dangerous fighters. In fact, your opposition is leagues below the opposition of Anthony Joshua, whom you are criticizing. And it just doesn't make any sense. Now had he fought Dillian White, which there's a lot of debate over what happened there. I'm not behind the scenes. I don't know what offers were made and who is really ducking who. But at the end of the day, he still doesn't have a Dillian White on his resume. He still doesn't have a Vladimir Klitschko. He still doesn't have a pro Povetkin. In the amateurs he does, but he also lost. He got knocked out in the first 30 seconds of their amateur fight to Povetkin. So, but in the pros, no Povetkin, no Takam, like, no Charles Martin. So, yeah, I mean, Luis Ortiz, I'm sorry, you're just out of line on this. And I do hope that Luis Ortiz can get some better opposition. I mean, he's not the youngest guy. Time is only going forward, so I do hope that he's able to make some big fights in the very near future. Maybe get the Joshua fight at some time. But at this point in time, Luis Ortiz's comments about Anthony Joshua are completely out of line. So, and really, there's not really a whole lot of heavyweights that can actually criticize Anthony Joshua's opposition, to be honest. Povetkin, up until he fought Povetkin, probably could have. But now Povetkin really has no room to talk because he's already been beat by him. You know? Pulev might be able to criticize a little bit, not a whole lot. But then again, he was the one who pulled out of the Joshua fight. You know, it's kind of hard to criticize the guy who was willing to fight you and then you pulled out. So, anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Big shout out to Kingdom of Boxing. I'm hoping that this is the long video that you were hoping to get. Also, big shout out to Coron Bread. Had a little mini conversation with him on my last video. We were actually talking about how, you know, time is just a very precious commodity, which is the reason why I haven't been able to make videos. But I'm going to do whatever I can to make videos. I'm hoping to be able to get back to my old format very soon, because I like making the intros. And I think it just gives more character to my videos. But anyways, so on subscribers. Oh, actually, wait. One more topic I want to cover real quick. Alright, so on my DAZN review video, had some guy who said something like, haha, I subbed to you a long time ago, and after watching this, I'm unsubscribed. And that was the whole comment. Now, I'm not going to beg you to stay subscribed to me. I appreciate my subscribers, but I want them to be subscribed to me because they want to be. That's the whole reason why I don't go, before I get into the video, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, blah, 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 blah. Because I feel that my audience is going to be intelligent enough to subscribe if they feel the need to do so. And not because I asked them to before I even start talking. And if you ever at some point feel the need to unsubscribe, then by all means do so. But my thing is, if you're going to tell me that you're going to unsubscribe, which you don't have to tell me, you go and you do you. But if you are going to comment that you are unsubscribing, the least you can do is give me constructive criticism. I'm open to constructive criticism. So if you're going to tell me that you're going to unsubscribe, you might as well tell me the reason why. Like, I have no idea if you feel I was being too hard on DAZN, or you just hate DAZN and, like, you know, and that's what I'm thinking it is somebody who probably can't stand Eddie Hearn, or, you know, for whatever reason, they don't like the idea of DAZN or an app. And I mean, that's perfectly fine. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But if you're going to unsubscribe from me for giving my honest opinion, then by all means, fuck off. Because when I subscribe to channels, it's not because I want them to tell me what I want to hear. For that, I could just go and listen to my videos all day long. I listen to channels for others' perspectives. About 30% of my subscriptions channels that I'm subscribed to are channels that I don't 100% agree with. In fact, we disagree more often than we agree. But that's because I'm a boxing fan. I like hearing other perspectives. I like hearing, for instance, what's blazing in sports. Lately, I've disagreed with him immensely. And I comment on his videos, and I comment in his live chats, but I'm always respectful when I do it. I never try to call him out. I don't accuse him of being a dumbass or not knowing shit about boxing. I never do that to him because I have respect for him. There's a reason why I'm subscribed to What's Blazing in Sports. And we always have civil conversations when we agree or disagree. I don't unsubscribe to him just because he feels very differently about the Deontay Wilder Joshua situation. I just don't. It's not that serious. So yeah, if that's what it is, if you're going to unsubscribe from me because I'm giving my honest opinion and review of DAZN, whether you feel I'm being too hard on it or you think I should be saying, standing on my soapbox saying, down with DAZN, nobody buy DAZN, DAZN's a piece of shit. I wipe my ass with DAZN, fuck DAZN. If that's why you're going to unsubscribe from me, by all means, pack your shit up and leave. That goes for anybody. I appreciate my subscribers, but I'm going to speak my mind. That's why I don't tell people what to make videos about. They make the videos that they want to make. And if it's that serious, I'll unsubscribe. But more times than not, it's just a difference in opinion. And it ain't that serious. To all my subscribers, anybody watching my videos, or if you just so happen to stump on this video, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. Peace.
Undefeated.